Hey there, folks. It's the E-Man here, and I guess I had heard about something. Yeah, I didn't really know about it because I hadn't really played my PlayStation 5 for a while. But yeah, I hadn't even played it yet. I think I was gonna get to go back on and start playing some more Helldivers 2. I really hooked on that game, but I had heard from people that the PlayStation Network is down. I think some may remember back in 2011 when it was shut down, but maybe it's kind of worse. Well, because of digital licenses and stuff. And well, imagine if you went and bought a PlayStation 5 right now. You probably wouldn't be able to use it because it can't hook onto the network to authenticate it. People have had issues with disk drives not working. Some of their games may not even work because it needs to be like, you know, an okay, like a handshake between if the game's going to run or not. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make people have a lot of confidence in Sony if this seems to be happening. I mean, I'm hoping this wasn't a hack and this is just some glitch in the system, but it does seem weird. We're not really, Sony doesn't really fully explaining what's going on. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it's back on yet. I haven't been on the PlayStation 5, but a lot of people were talking about the PlayStation Network being down, and isn't that a good thing? Yeah, because you don't know if they got hacked and someone's going to get all this. Yeah, I guess go on, change your password, maybe like delete your saved credit cards off of it just in case. Yeah, I just think, well, and then it just makes a lot of people aware in the digital future we're going to have more issues with this. Like, what if the system goes down for maintenance or a major thing happens? Or maybe like where the main PlayStation Network is, there's some kind of fire in the building and to be offline. But it's like, can you imagine? I mean, yeah. And then I'm like thinking, wow, even having a physical PlayStation 5 disc doesn't make you protected. It's like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be, you know, like, like I have a Sega Genesis that's like 20 some years old. I can turn it on and play it. I don't need an internet, and I don't need nothing. I also have it available to play ROMs on my computer. It's like I don't understand. The whole video game industry has moved towards a certain thing. It's just weird. Yeah, back in 2011, it just that was a big issue. It's even more issue now, I think, because the way the PlayStation 5's, the way the network has advanced or whatever. Maybe there's just so many people on it and no one's maintaining it. But it doesn't give people a lot of confidence in Sony. And I also heard that, anytime a Blu-ray disc is used, even on Xbox console, it's used with permission from Sony because Sony technically owns the rights for Blu-rays. So, yeah. So I was like, yeah. Well, hopefully this is going to get cleared up, but I think last time I heard it's been out for close to maybe 20 hours, or what were you saying, 18 hours? I think someone had said it had been out, I believe they had said that it had been out since yesterday at 7 or something. So a little bit of time, so hopefully it's going to get figured out. I don't know. There's some people starting to rethink, all digital games. Well, I mean, it's just the idea that modern games and modern consoles, they're not going to last as long as, I would assume they're not going to last as long as other things. Like, we have an issue with the PlayStation 3. Eventually, an internal battery in the PlayStation 3 is going to die. It's not a problem now because the network is still going. But once the PlayStation 3, if that, it gets to where the battery dies and the network won't connect to the PlayStation 3 will just die. But of course, we've got emulation. We've got PlayStation 3 emulation. So, I mean, it, it is what it is. But yeah, but I mean, I remember like N64, all those other old consoles. Been worried that there was like some date that they were going to blow up, or the network's down, so I can't play it. It's like they really wanted to push these online games. They're online all the time, and perhaps maybe Sony. Well, I don't know. A lot of people have different opinions. A lot of people think that Microsoft and Sony are just spending way too much money on development of these consoles and stuff, or maybe it's just they don't they're not really checking the network. Like how many people have on it? I don't know what to do, but of course isn't this a worldwide outage too? I think this is an outage even in Japan and a lot of the other territories. Yeah, maybe it's just that someone's not upgrading their system as more and more people get onto it. But I don't know. I'd seriously be kind of concerned about this. Yeah. Well, I've seen videos where people say that modern games just aren't really going to be worth anything. Like much like a lot of the older games, all these older games that have, so you can pay up to $800 for an older game. And there's not really ever a guarantee that's going to work either. But yeah, it's almost like even if you have a physical PlayStation 5 disc, if it has to check for something, or to acknowledge that you have the license to use it, it may not work. So people who had issues with their physical games not working either, or digital games or other issues. One other big thing, I'm talking about the other consoles longevity. Like I have a Nintendo Wii U. If that bricks or whatever, I'll have to go get another Wii U. So because the store shut down on the Wii U. I could technically still re-download my games from it, but I can't buy any new ones because the store on the Wii U is just gone. So it's like a lot of times we I guess a lot of us need to stop and think as consumers. A lot of us need to think as consumers, do we really want this all digital future? Maybe we need to have these companies spell out to us what exactly this is going to mean going forward, or we have some kind of protection from this. Why does it like the idea of you go and buy a game digitally and you have it, but the premise is, of course, you can play it as long as you can connect up to their servers. Like I've had an issue like EA games, some games that you have to sign in to EA or some other company before you sign into Steam. So Steam provides me the game, but I can't play it because the EA servers says some error and won't load it. So the game that I had bought is now worthless because the EA thing won't sign on or do it or whatever. It's rather weird. Of course, if I wanted to play that Dragon Age game on another console, it would probably work. If I can't sign in, I can't access some of the special things, but I can still play the game. But on the PC, it's just... So it's like, there's a lot of weird things like that. The server doesn't acknowledge your license, or there's some glitch with it. It's like, oops, sorry. I had issues with, I think, some EA stores and time where all of a sudden I'm like, where are all the games that I got? Oh, they're gone. That's always something people need to think about in this age. Not much of a choice on the PC. Everything's digital for the PC. Well, I play some older games on the PC, use a disk drive, which is, it's almost archaic to think of something having a disk drive. Yeah, technology advances so fast, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, there was a time when computers didn't have disk drives, or the disk drive was a separate entity that you had to buy separately and plug into the computer. Then it got to where there's disk drives in every computer, and now it's getting to where disk drives aren't needed anymore because, well, I'm in the wave of digital. Yeah, like talk about digital stuff reliant on. I mean, this is the computer that I'm using right now. I mean, I hooked up online, downloaded Windows 10, and had to do that on my computer, but all digitally. I don't have a disk anywhere. You have an authentication code, but and recently I thought, oh, my laptop that I had taken from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and I'd used it, and I said, oh, well, maybe I can put it back to Windows 10, and I find out I can't put it back to Windows 10 because that version of Windows 10 is not available anymore. And plus, it's because it was Windows 10 was kind of digital. Yeah, like I don't have a disk. I didn't get a disk for it, or I should have made a disk for it. But I thought, oh, it's Windows 10, I'll be able to. But that laptop requires a certain version of that. Because now we're having issues with Windows 10. Whenever, because if Steam drops support for Windows 10, I won't be able to play any games on Windows 10. But that probably won't happen for a while. But yeah, it's just. Windows 11's coming out. My computer can't upgrade to Windows 11. There's always these weird things going on in the future, and maybe us as consumers, we need to be paying attention to what these companies are doing, and maybe they need to be held more accountable, like making things that can go outdated or something. It's like, especially the iPhone. Like my phone is getting a little bit outdated too. Well, if I can't upgrade anymore, so it's like whatever, and then it's like, yeah. I'm sorry. I know this is about the PlayStation Network going down, but I guess I'll just express my full opinions on this whole thing. Well, because I remember growing up in an age where you had to physically have a movie and you had to physically have a game in order to play it. This concept of, I go on a store, I buy a game, and it's like saved on some digital library somewhere, but I have a license to use it. I don't. Because technically these companies could say, hey, this is our game. We can pull it from you whenever we want to. Yeah, and then they just want us to buy. They want us to keep buying stuff. Because before, you used to buy a game. Yeah, because before you would buy a game, buy a game once, bring it home, play it, and then you'd usually probably go trade it in. Like trading your game to go get a new game. It was always like, oh, they want the newest and greatest game for a while. Of course, now I'm kind of the age where I'm like, I kind of don't want to take any game for granted now. Like, if I know a game's really great, I should not go and trade it, especially since it gets harder and harder to find these games. And said earlier, a lot of old games are going through the roof. Like, I traded a lot of games, and I regret doing that, because I had to I wanted to buy the latest and greatest thing. And now it's like I should have not take it for granted. Oh, a new game. Not. And of course, back in the day, a lot of times the games wouldn't be good. When I was younger, I didn't have money to get games. So usually I'd have to rent a game. So you rent a game, it's crappy, you're stuck with it. So you had to deal with it and probably not take it for granted. But I feel like a lot of new games come out, they're not what we were expecting. They're not good. It seems like they're fibbing to us, which seems to be happening with movies and TV shows as well. Like, oh, we'll hide it, maybe nobody will notice it's terrible, but eventually someone has to watch it and someone's going to have an opinion. And remember, someone's opinion does not mean that it's right. It's just their particular opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's going to be a mess. And Yeah, I don't. Where's the protections are supposed to be protecting people as a consumer? I would think this is a big red flag for consumer rights places. I would think it's like, yeah. I mean, I understand we can't be expected to be able to access these games like 20 years from now on a server, but I mean, is it where? I mean, I'd even be willing to pay money to be able to take a lot of those Steam games and just put them on my computer so I don't have to launch Steam. Like, I like Steam, but whenever I click on one of the games on my computer for Steam, I have to go through the Steam. There has to be, you can do Steam and offline, but there still is kind of this handshake that has to happen to tell you, oh yeah, you have the right to play this game. It's probably not as bad as it is with other things. Well, I mean, imagine if the whole internet just one day shut off. There's tons of stuff. It's amazing what you can get access on our internet. Imagine if our internet went down. Our country would probably implode. We're becoming very dependent on things. Yes, it reminds me of certain science fiction writers, Frank Herbert in Dune, this idea that humans become so dependent on things that we don't realize we're dependent on them. Like one day we wake up and everything's digital, and we have to pay through the nose to get everything because we're not going to have a right to use it. Or maybe in the future someday we're going to get implants in our brain and like save things in our brain or what. But, I mean, I thought the digital idea is cool. I mean, I'm not going to say digital games is kind of cool. Like, right now, I could go on Steam and get some games without having to get in my car, waste gas and time to go to the store to buy a game. Especially for me, because I live like 20 minutes from the nearest Walmart or something. I mean, it's, yeah. Or GameStop. I gotta go all the way from my house here to like almost like 30 minutes to get to town for me. Yeah, and digital sales keep going up and up and up, and that's cool, but maybe sometimes younger people just have to see, like this is a good example to show us what does it look like. If networks and stuff shut down and we can't access them. Especially if it's a current, the PlayStation 5 is a current console. I mean, this could really hurt Sony's sales with the PlayStation 5. Maybe people might say, I don't want a PlayStation 5 if the network's going to shut down all the time. They deserve a benefit of the doubt. I mean, it was back in 2011 when it got hacked before, so hopefully this is just some snafu and it's going to be taken care of, but I guess it's just an ultimate warning for people. It's like, we need to rethink a lot of things. Well, this company's supposed to make stuff that we want to use and be entertained by, but it's going to be hard trying to focus on really playing a game and not have that thought in the back of your head. Like, what happens if the network shuts down? Like, a lot of people bought games recently and now they can't play them because they can't download them because the network's down. It's like, yeah, I got carried away what I was talking about. But I need to get my opinion of what this... Every time a network shuts down, we'll realize like what we can't use or can't do because it's on there. Yeah, I mean, I know, like, a friend of mine, I was hoping to see if he was on the network, and then I had heard, oh, the network's down, so it's like, whatever. Well, thankfully, I can play PC games. Luckily, I have other consoles I can play. I mean, maybe that's a benefit of having, like, most of the modern consoles. Yeah, I've got most of the modern consoles, and I've got, like, a lot of the older ones, too. So, like, I can go on my Xbox S. Well, Didn't Microsoft have an issue with their network? I can appreciate a problem with a network that lasts for like 4 hours or something, but I mean, maybe someone at Sony just isn't paying attention and there's something they're supposed to be doing to secure the network and they're not really doing it. I would think companies could get sued for something like this. You know, if people's information gets stolen and they get in trouble for that, I don't know. But it's like, you want, when you have a brand, you want to make sure that you try to keep up with customer service and try to keep this stuff working, because if it's not working, people are going to get irritated, and especially the way things are going, or I've heard of way things are going to go, like possibly prices for video games and stuff's going to go through the roof. So, you know, a lot of people, you know, they're more concerned about how they're going to pay the rent than what new game system they're going to get. Like, I don't know, and we got the new Switch 2 coming out. Yeah, the tariffs. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be political, but I didn't vote for the current bozo, so try to say we're to blame. It's like, I didn't vote for that dude, so I didn't. So, yeah, I didn't vote for that guy, so yeah, so I did actually vote. I did not vote for that dude. I mean, I just don't, why no one complaining about it? Well, they'll start complaining about it this holiday when it's time to go, you know, when people want to go buy a video game, and a video game's like $100, because we just kind of let these companies just do it and we don't complain. Yeah, I think we really need to let these companies know when we're unhappy with them, because it's will change, or maybe just stupid decisions being made that may have led to this. Oh, they wanted to cut some money, so they didn't want to, like, put too much on security. I'm like, I think everyone should know that any system or network needs to have security protection. I'm thinking about, could our government get hacked at any time, because maybe they're not making sure they have the latest and greatest security stuff. Yeah, it's like, wow. I mean, yeah. Well, anyway, you know, as I said before, hopefully it's going to be taken care of, and isn't going to be, well, at least the network will be back up, and that will take care of the problem. But then it's, of course, this realization. Yeah, I mean, every company's kind of doing this. It's not just Sony. Sony just seems to actively have all these problems. Sony just has problems, I guess. Well, I've had issues with the PlayStation 5, like some stuff not loading, because my internet connection isn't really good at points. There's a certain bandwidth you have to have for it to work. So there's been issues or glitches, whatnot, with the PlayStation 5. And then we have a lot of PlayStation 5 Pros. I don't see a point in getting a Pro. It's like, in the Pro, like, the PlayStation 5 Pros are down too, because they're on the same network. I don't. Well, I've heard that the network is, of course, down on, like, all the other Sony devices. Like, any device that uses the PlayStation network is pretty much disconnected. Well, as always, please like and subscribe, and then leave any comments about things you're probably dealing with this PlayStation Network fazoo. And it's like, yeah, things like this are probably going to get even worse. Well, hopefully no one hacked it. If somebody hacked it, and this is just them seeing if they can do it. So it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of younger people that are really smart with computers that can probably hack into all this stuff. So hopefully it's not a hack. But, I mean, do what you need to do. I mean, maybe, you know, make sure your saved credit cards and your PlayStation Network are deleted just until this gets fixed. I think I recently changed my password anyway, so have to worry about that. Like, I couldn't get into it, and I was like, this is weird. I remember what my password was. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody got into it. Well, I don't know, but I guess it's just always check that stuff. If something feels weird with your password, change it. Or you think, like, why is my password not working? Yeah, just check all that stuff. Yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later. And hopefully next time I'll be talking about something a lot more, on a more happy note than this. This is, I guess it's just modern gaming pains, I guess. Some modern pain for gamers, I guess. Yeah, modern gamers have some kind of a pain that they're dealing with. Well, younger people may not even really understand or really care much. I'm an old fella, so I have seen what has changed over the years. Anyway, I will catch you guys later then. Bye.